Previously on this series, the universe was born from the sound of God's voice. Let there be light! And light shattered the darkness. In 6 days, all things were perfectly formed. And on the seventh, the Creator rested, beholding his masterpiece. Adam was shaped by the very hands of the Almighty. Eve, crafted from his rib, was his companion and gift. In Eden, all was peace, until a single choice altered the fate of mankind. "The," serpent whispered. The fruit was touched. The command was broken. Adam and Eve, now aware of good and evil, were cast out of paradise. The earth, once blessed, began to resist. The man, once immortal, began to die. But the story didn't end there. Now, we follow the children of the fall. Cain and Abel, 2 brothers, 2 offerings, 1 altar, and a decision that would seal a tragic fate. What happens when jealousy takes root in the heart? When pride speaks louder than faith? Get ready for a story of tension, emotion, and the first blood ever spilled on earth. The time had come to offer to God what they had reaped from the earth. Abel, the youngest, brought the firstborn of his flock, pure, spotless, alive. Cain, the eldest, gathered fruits from the ground he cultivated, perhaps beautiful, perhaps ripe but common. They built altars, they knelt, and the heavens watched in silence. Abel's flame rose straight and strong. It was as if the smoke danced with the wind toward the throne of God. Cain's, however, flickered, struggled, dissipated. No fire, no response, just silence. And in that silence, Cain's heart darkened. 2 brothers, 2 offerings, one accepted, the other not. But why? The answer was not in the fruits or animals, but in the heart that gave. Abel's offering was not only the best, he gave in faith, with devotion. Cain's offering, though it cost him sweat, lacked surrender. That moment drew an invisible line, a divide that would grow until it stained the ground itself. It was no longer just about offerings. It was about identity, about choice, and above all about the presence or absence of God in each heart. Abel's altar smoked high, as if heaven breathed in that offering. It seemed as though the fire had been lit by the divine hand. But Cain's altar remained low. Its smoke faded without strength, without direction. Silently, God looked with favor on Abel and his offering. But for Cain and what he brought, there was no approval. Cain's heart burned, but not in worship, in wrath, in jealousy, in humiliation. His eyes closed to truth and opened to darkness. He felt the weight of God's gaze, who approached him with mercy. "Why are you angry, Cain? And why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? But if not, sin is crouching at the door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." God warned him, like a father still extending his hand. But Cain no longer listened with his heart. Jealousy grew like thorns in his chest. He looked at Abel and saw not a brother, but an obstacle, a reminder of what he was not, of what he did not have, of what God did not approve in him. The next morning, with a calm voice, Cain called, "Let's go to the field, my brother." Abel smiled and followed him, unsuspecting. They walked to where the land was dense, far from Eve's eyes, far from the altar, far from God's voice. There, the silence of the field would be broken not by praise, but by something the earth had never witnessed before: human blood. The field was quiet. The leaves danced with the wind. unaware of what was about to happen. Abel walked ahead, looking to the horizon. Cain behind, heavy steps, trembling hands, and then the brutality. The blow came without warning. A dry sound echoed among the stones. Abel fell, surprised, confused. His blood began to stain the virgin soil of creation. The first human blood shed was not for war, nor for justice, but for envy, rejection, pride. Cain panted, sweaty face, eyes lost. His brother, motionless. The echo of murder resounded in the silence of the land. What had he done? Where was God's gaze now? The field seemed to watch him. The earth seemed to breathe and cry out. Then the voice that once advised him returned, now with firmness. "Where is Abel, your brother?" Cain hesitated. His eyes did not face the heavens. "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" He replied coldly. But the Lord said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground." The sentence was given. The earth that once gave him fruit would now resist him. A wanderer, a fugitive. The shadow of his crime would follow him, and the weight of guilt, heavier than any burden. Cain fell to his knees. "My punishment is greater than I can bear." Still, God, in his justice and mercy, placed a mark upon Cain. No one would kill him. He would be spared, but live with the mark of his choice. Cain departed. His steps were heavier than the ground that now rejected him. His heart carried a void that even time could not fill. He was the first man to experience the weight of eternal guilt, the first outside Eden, and the first condemned for killing someone made in God's image. He wandered to the land of Nod, east of Eden. There he built a city and named it Enoch, in honor of his son. He tried to rebuild, to forget, to continue. But the roots of his legacy were stained. Humanity now bore the seed of good and evil, not just in theory, but in action. Meanwhile, Eve, devastated by the loss of Abel, tasted the bitterest pain, to bury a son by the hands of another. And yet, hope. For God did not forget her. She bore another son and named him Seth, saying, "God has granted me another offspring in place of Abel, because Cain killed him." With Seth, the lineage of promise continued, and in his son, Enosh, a new breath of faith echoed across the earth. For in that time, people began to call upon the name of the Lord. Even in the darkness, the light was not extinguished. The story of Cain and Abel is not just about two brothers. It is about the human heart when faced with worship, jealousy, and the choice to hear or silence the voice of God. It is about free will and its consequences. And so, the blood of Abel still speaks, not with words, but with an eternal cry that echoes from the soil of history, reminding us that every choice has a price, but also that God, even in the face of human error, continues to trace a path of redemption. And so, the first blood was spilled. The earth, once only a garden of life, now bears the weight of a brother's cry for justice. Cain, marked not only in flesh but in soul, walks with the burden of his choice. But this was only the first fall in a long series of humanity's stumbles. In the next episode, we witness the continuation of mankind's lineage. A new generation rises, bringing both hope and greater challenges. Who are the descendants of Adam? And how far will humanity stray from God's original plan? The world is about to sink into deeper darkness. Don't miss the next chapter. Genesis, the corruption of the earth and the calling of Noah.